Yeah.
Talk about the original intentions of why Little Big Planet was like broad enough that it's really supporting its own site and what you're doing now.
Well, when Little Big Planet started out, its intentions were to provide creators with a way to share their ideas and their creations, the things they imagined. But promoting that stuff was a little harder with Little Big Planet 1. So we kind of existed to bridge that gap, to allow creators to promote their content and share it and discuss creation techniques and share tutorials and lots of things that they couldn't do through Little Big Planet itself.
So you're pretty young. You were talking earlier, you're 18, you're a senior in high school. You've been involved with the site for a while. We saw the same thing with the Little Big podcast guys. They started out when they were 13 and 15. It's a lot of responsibility to be running a site. So what was it about Little Big Planet that had you, in the early years of high school, want to take on this responsibility?
Well, I've been a gamer for years, as long as I can remember. Little Big Planet was just one of those games that really caught my eye, and I was lucky enough to have the chance to go to Comic-Con, where Little Big Planet was being demoed. I went and stood in line probably 5 or 6 times, saw the game for an hour and a half. I saw everything they were showing, took mental notes, did all of that, went home and wrote an article, and that article got up on sites like Kotaku and N4G.
Nice.
And it brought a ton of traffic to LBP Central. And from there, I got bumped up into, I got handed more responsibility from Brian, who originally ran LBP Central. And I guess I just kind of eased into the role from there.
So what's, now that Little Big Planet 2 is out, it's out today, how is Little Big Planet and LBP Central going to be supporting the game and supporting the fans of LBP 2?
Well, one big thing that came along with Little Big Planet 2 was LBP.me.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a web portal for Little Big Planet and Little Big Planet 2. It works retroactively with all the levels that have been published for Little Big Planet, and it displays a ton of data for all of those levels. What we've been doing is, for every level that a user posts on our site, we are able to grab a ton of live data from that site and display it for them. We format it automatically. We do a ton of cool stuff for them, so that they can more easily share the stuff they're making without putting the extra work needed into inserting that data themselves. It sounds very technical, but it streamlines the process and makes it way easier for them to share stuff with each other.
Yeah, the LBP.me stuff is really awesome, so I'm curious to see what you're taking that data and what you're doing with it. So that's lbpcentral.com. So have the folks at Media Molecule seen your site, and what do they think of it?
Oh, yeah. We actually work with Media Molecule on a number of projects. We're doing a few things, a couple of projects I can't talk about right now, but we will be unveiling them soon.
We'll talk under embargo later.
Yeah. But there's always exciting stuff going on with Media Molecule. They're always working directly with their community. It's one of the unique things about them, and we're no different. I get to work directly with them on almost a daily basis, and it's great. It's a kind of interactivity that you don't get with other games.
Yeah, definitely. Community really does come first for Media Molecule and the Little Big Planet, and really that's how our marathoners got started and got picked, is by being active parts of the community. So have you been paying attention to the marathon, which we are now 27 and a half hours into?
Yeah, I've actually been watching the live stream all day yesterday, all day today, as much as I can at least. It's really impressive, amazing stamina. I don't think, even as much as I love the game, I don't think I could do it. I have a lot of respect for them, definitely.
Yeah, I totally hear you there. Some people, when we first announced this, they were like, oh, well, anyone could, some of the records, anyone could set these. But actually playing for 24 hours, which is how long some of these records are going to take to fall, and a total of 50 hours, not anybody can do that. And, they're not switching off in shifts like we've seen with some other games. They are powering through, and they've been planted on those beanbags here since yesterday afternoon. So definitely all the credit in the world to them. So like we said earlier, LBP2 came out today. And what's been your impression so far today? I know you picked up the Championship Edition, or Collector's Edition.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, I've been playing it since a little over a week ago when I got my review copy in. We have a review up on the site. It's a wonderful game. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of things that it does the same as Little Big Planet for very good reasons, but there are so many things it does differently, little things, big things, new features, that make it a completely different experience for creators, for players. I mean, the summary that in Little Big Planet 1 you can make levels, and in Little Big Planet 2 you can make games. I mean, they keep saying that over and over, but that's because it's true. It's completely true.
So now the game's been out for the better part of a day. Have you been paying attention to the things that have been getting posted and created today? And have you seen anything that stood out already in day one?
I've been doing a little bit of that. I saw some of the first stuff. A lot of people have been using the grappling hook, some uses of the Creatinator, kind of some of the easier tools, the stuff that's quicker to implement. I'm more interested to see what people do with the logic tools, maybe big bosses, stuff that's going to take longer for people to figure out, but are going to have way more impressive payoff later.
Yeah, Media Molecule definitely sets the standard, leads by example, and there's the bosses in the story levels of Little Big Planet 2 are definitely much more complex than anything we saw in the first Little Big Planet. So I think over time we're going to see the community build on that, and you're going to see some pretty clever AI and some pretty complicated multi-tiered bosses, I have a feeling. So are you a creator yourself, or are you like me where you're sort of like a blogger but have no other discernible talent?
Little Big Planet is kind of a perfect way for me to lay out my ideas and kind of execute on them without really showing them off. I don't create much mostly because I don't have the time for it. But when I have an idea in my head that I want to play with, Little Big Planet is the perfect playground for that kind of thing, because I don't think I've ever hit the walls or the limits of the game yet.
Mm-hmm. And those limits are actually expanding. We were talking to Media Molecule earlier. The thermometer that is along the left side of the screen that tells you how complex your level is. Basically, as long as you don't break the game, you can keep on building. So again, I'm sure we'll be seeing some pretty impressive stuff, and we'll want to hear from you down the line about what the trends are, and early on grappling hook. But yeah, I think the more complex stuff is still yet to be seen. So as we roll into the second night of this marathon, we've all pulled all-nighters here and there. I've never done it back to back, but what advice would you have where I can just walk in there and talk to Sean, David, and Lauren and say, well, Michael from LBP Central says this is what you should be doing over the next 24 hours left in this marathon?
The only thing I would say is don't look at the clock, because that would totally kill it for me. I would not be able to survive if I kept looking at the time. Other than that, make sure to mix it up. Other than accomplishing the things that you guys have to accomplish, after you get that done, play different genres, play different types of levels, swap between creators. Try to avoid doing the same things over and over. That way it doesn't get old doing the same things. I mean, there's obviously endless levels, but you still have to make sure you mix it up in something like a 50-hour marathon.
Yeah, they've definitely been, mixing up with genres, but that's great advice there. And there are endless levels, and they're just adding more and more. And I would love to see the stats, and I'm sure we'll be trumpeting those stats down the line of how many levels per minute are being created. But certainly much faster than a marathon could be playing it. So we were talking earlier. You got started early on in high school. You're going to be graduating. You're going to be what's next for LBP Central and you?
Well, I plan on supporting LBP Central as much as I can over the course of after high school through college, things like that. I kind of have to see where life takes me, but for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be working with LBP Central because it is literally the best outlet I have for the things that I love to do. It helps me just kind of get down and work and do the things that I like without overdoing it.
Very cool. So this is Michael Buffaloe from LBPCentral.com. Make sure you visit LBPCentral.com for, all your LBP needs and the clever use of metadata. So I'm definitely going to be checking out and using it to find some new levels. And best of luck to you. And is there a Twitter account anyone should be paying attention to as well?
I have my personal @MichaelBuffaloe. Our official one we don't use currently, but we still have one if you want to follow us.
All right.
LBP Central.
All right. Thanks, Michael Buffaloe, joining us from California via the PlayStation Eye. So moving on, we're going to be checking in once again as we come very close to some of the first records falling over in the gameplay room. So let's see what they're up to.